Plant-Rhizosphere Interactions. Alice in the Rhizosphere by Ashley and Alex. Our story begins here, with a curious girl named Alice following a rabbit into a hole near the roots of a tree. You may think you have heard this tale before, but this one has a twist. Our dear Alice does not quite reach Wonderland, but gets caught in a place just as full of life and amazement.
Where am I?
Why, don't you know? You're in the Rhizosphere, Alice. Come along now. You have a thing or two to learn while you're down here.
The Rhizosphere? What is that?
Allow me to elucidate. You see, plants need more than just sunlight, water, and photosynthase like sugar in order to survive. They also require nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. So how do we obtain these vital elements? Well, the answer lies right here, in the soil. The roots not only act as the anchor for the plant, they also provide a surface between the plant and the surrounding soil, allowing the absorption of nutrients. Plants can't jump, dance, and move around like you and me. This means they are limited to the amount of nutrients they can take up from the soil. But don't fret, my friend. Our dear plants have a variety of biological buddies to help obtain what they need. The immediate area of soil around the root hairs is called the rhizosphere. The rhizosphere includes the narrow region of soil or substrate that is directly influenced by root secretions and associated soil microorganisms, which we call the root microbiome. It's here that a trade-off occurs between the plant roots and the microorganisms within the soil.
A trade-off between plants and microorganisms? Like a party where everyone brings gifts? Oh, I do love a party. Well, what is exchanged?
Excellent question. Some of the carbohydrates that the plant produces through photosynthesis are released from the roots into the rhizosphere. These sugary compounds are called root exudates. Although you may think the plant losing part of its hard-earned sugars would be a terrible waste of energy, the plant is actually forging its own workforce. These carbohydrates support a colony of microscopic organisms that in turn supply the plant with nutrients that would have otherwise been inaccessible to the plant. Bacterial colonies establish around the rhizosphere, feeding on the root exudates produced by the plant and multiplying in the rich environment around the roots. Along with the carbon from the root exudate, these bacteria consume a range of other compounds found in the soil, breaking them down into bioavailable plant nutrients. This is where the fungi come into play.
I shall take it from here. This is mycelium. Here, tiny filaments of fungal hyphae, 1 cell thick, form huge underground networks where they work in symbiosis with the plant roots. They are particularly good at extracting plant nutrients by forming a large branching surface area that extends throughout the soil. These fungal hyphae trade nutrients with the nearby plants at the root sites in return for the carbons released in the root exudate. Mycelial networks connect multiple plants and allow them access to a wide variety of important nutrients. There are 2 main types of mycorrhizal fungi involved in this symbiosis: arbuscular mycorrhizae and ectomycorrhizae. Arbuscular mycorrhizae, also known as endomycorrhizae, involve fungi within the glomeromycota phylum and have a range of hosts including angiosperms, gymnosperms, ferns, and liverworts. This fungi makes up the majority of mycorrhizal symbiosis. The arbuscular mycorrhizae enter the plant cell and form tree-like structures with their hyphae. These hyphae grow from spores as well as the roots of other plants. When the hyphae encounters the root of a host plant, a specialized hyphal branch known as the hypodium forms on the root epidermis. The hypodium is composed of 1 or 2 lobed cells and does not require chemical signaling from the plant in order to form. From this structure, the arbuscular mycorrhizal fungal hyphae can penetrate the root epidermis to colonize the parenchyma cortex. The hyphae are restricted to the cortex and do not enter into the endodermis or stele of the root. After the root epidermis has been penetrated, the hyphae extend through the intercellular spaces where they colonize the cortical cells to form branching structures called arbuscules, as well as complex hyphal coils. These structures increase the area of contact between the symbionts, further facilitating the nutrient transfer between fungal and plant cells. Ectomycorrhizal fungi have a similar symbiotic relationship with the surrounding plants. However, ectomycorrhizae do not penetrate into the plant root cells. Instead, they proliferate between the cells and outside the root tip, forming a mesh network known as the Hartig net. These mycelial networks act as an extension of the host plant's root system, reaching further out into the soil system than the plant roots can extend on their own. This increases the surface area of which the plant can obtain nutrients from.
Oh boy, this involves diffusion, my favorite.
Diffusion? Oh, please do explain.
Why, yes, Alice. The mycorrhizae work to decompose compounds within the soil, increasing the diffusion rates and uptake availability of different nutrients. Transport of nutrients from soil to root cells involves a complex integration of both fungal and plant symbionts. Nutrient diffusion first requires uptake of nutrients from the soil by the fungus. The nutrients are transported along the fungal hyphae to the apoplastic zone of the root. The interface between fungal and plant cells acts as a critical zone for transport, involving the plasma membranes of both organisms. Nutrients are diffused into the root cells via transmembrane proteins called channels, which are embedded in the plasma membrane. This is how mycorrhizal fungi and the rhizosphere benefit the plants around them.
Isn't that just delightful?
Why, Alice, what are you still doing here? I think that's enough educating for today. We've run out of time. We really must be going. No time to say goodbye. Oh, and next time, Alice, bring some nutrients.